Hello, this is John Ayala, and I'm here to talk about the CIA torture stuff. I will read to you the CIA torture report from the Senate committee. On April 13, 2014, it states that the Committee on Intelligence voted to send the findings and conclusions and the executive summary, which final study on the CIA's detention and interrogation program, to the President for declassification and subsequent public release. This action marked the culmination of a monumental effort that officially began within the committee's decision to initiate the study in March of 2009, but which had its roots in an investigation into the CIA's destructive destruction of videotapes of CIA detainee interrogations that began in December of 2007. So this has been going on for at least 7 years now. The full committee study, which totals more than 6,700 pages, remains classified but now is an official Senate report. The full report has been provided to the White House, the CIA, the Department of Justice, the Department of Defense, the Department of State, and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, in hopes that it will prevent future coercive interrogation practices and inform the management of other covert action programs. As the chairman of the committee since 2009, I write to offer some additional views, context, and history. I began my service on the Senate Intelligence Committee in January 2001. I remember the testimony that summer from George Tenet, the Director of Central Intelligence, that warned of a possible major terroristic event against the United States, but without specifics on the time, location, or method of the attacks. On September 11, 2001, the world learned the answers to these questions that had consumed the CIA and the other parts of the U.S. Intelligence Committee. I recall vividly watching the horror of that day, to include the television footage of the innocent men and women jumping out of the World Trade Center to escape the fire. The images and the sound of the bodies hit the pavement below will remain with me for the rest of my life. It is against the backdrop, the largest attack against the Americans' homeland in our history, that the events described in this report were undertaken. Nearly 13 years later, the executive summary and findings and conclusions of this report have been released. They are highly critical of the CIA's actions, and rightly so. Reading them, it is easy to forget the context in which the program began, not the content that takes would serve as an excuse, but rather as a warning for the future. It is worth remembering the pervasive fear in late 2001 and how imminent the threat felt. Just a week after the September 11th attacks, powdered anthrax was sent to various news organizations and to 2 U.S. senators. The American public was shocked by news of new terroristic plots and elevations of the color-coded threat level of the Homeland Security Advisory System. We expected further attacks against the nation. I have attempted throughout to remember the impact on the nation and to the CIA's workforce from the attacks of September 11, 2001. I can understand the CIA's impulse to consider the use of every possible tool to gather intelligence and remove terrorists from the battlefield, and the CIA was encouraged by political leaders to do the public to do whatever it is it could to prevent another attack. The Intelligence Committee, as well as often pushes intelligence agencies to act quickly in response to threats and world events. Nevertheless, such pressure, fear, and expectation of further terroristic plots do not justify, temper, or excuse improper actions taken by individuals or organizations in the name of national security. A major lesson of this report is, regardless of the present issues and the need to act, the Intelligence Committee's actions must always reflect who we are as a nation and adhere to our laws and standards. It is precisely at these times of national crises that governments must be guided by the lessons of our history and subject to decisions to internal and external review. Instead, CIA personnel, aided by two outside contractors, decided to initiate a program of indefinite secret detention and the use of brutal interrogation techniques in violation of U.S. law, treaty obligations, and our values. The committee study documents the abuses and countless mistakes made between late 2001 and early 2009. That's since September 11th, folks. The executive summary of the study provides a significant amount of new information based on CIA and other documents to what has already been made public by the Bush and Obama administrations, as well as non-governmental organizations and the press. The committee's full study is more than 10 times the length of the executive summary. It includes comprehensive and excruciating detail. The study describes the history of the CIA's detention and interrogation program from inception to its termination, including a review of each of the 119 known individuals who were held in CIA custody. The full committee's study also provides substantially more detail than what it is concluded in the executive summary on the CIA's justification and defense of its interrogation program, on the basis that it was necessary and critical to the disruption of specific terror frauds and the capture of specific terrorists. While the executive summary provides sufficient detail to demonstrate the inaccuracies of each of these claims, the information in the full committee study is far more extensive, which means this torture report has pretty much told us that torture did not prevent any sort of terror whatsoever. I choose not to seek declassification of the full committee study at this time. I believe that the executive summary includes enough information to adequately describe the CIA's detention and interrogation program and the committee's findings and conclusions over the entirety of the program. Seeking declassification of more than 6,000-page report would have significantly delayed the release of the executive summary. Decisions will be made later on the declassification and release on a full 6,700-page study. So this is just 528 pages out of 6,700. What else is the CIA doing that's not even in this report? In 2009, when this effort began, I stated in a press release co-authored with the Vice Chairman of the committee, Senator Kit Bond, that the purpose is to review the program and to save detention and interrogation policies in the future. The review is now done. It's my sincere and deep hope that through the release of these findings and conclusions and executive summary that the U.S. will never allow again for secret, indefinite detention and the use of coercive interrogations. Good luck on that because the right wing loves it. As the study describes, prior to the attacks of September 2001, the CIA itself determined of its own experience with coercive interrogations that such techniques do not provide intelligence, but probably result in false answers and have been historically proven to be ineffective. So they do not start terrorism. The detainee will lie to get out of the interrogation tactics and torture and say what the CIA wants them to say, even though it's a lie, and it's not even effective. A triple threat of bullshit. Congratulations, CIA. If these conclusions were ignored, you cannot again allow history to be forgotten and grievous past mistakes to be repeated. President Obama signed the Executive Order 13491 in January 2009 to prohibit the CIA from holding detainees other than on a short-term transitory basis and to limit interrogations techniques to those included in the Army Field Manual. However, these limitations were not a part of U.S. law and could not be overturned by a future president within the stroke of a pen. They should be enshrined in legislation. Even so, existing U.S. law and territory treaty obligations should have prevented many of the abuses and mistakes during this program. While the Office of Legal Counsel found otherwise between 2002 and 2007, it is my personal conclusion that under any common meaning of the term, these CIA detainees were tortured. I also believe that the conditions of confinement and the use of authorized and unauthorized interrogation and conditioning techniques were cruel, inhumane, and degrading. I believe the evidence of this is overwhelming and incontrovertible. While the committee did not make specific recommendations, several emerged from the committee's review. The CIA, in its June 2013 response to the committee's study from December 2012, has also already made and begun to implement its own recommendations. I intend to work with Senate colleagues to provide recommendations and to solicit views from the readers of the committee study. I would also like to take this opportunity to describe the process of this study. As noted previously, the committee approved the terms of reference for the study in March 2009 and began requesting information from the CIA and other federal departments. The committee, through its staff, had already reviewed in 2008 thousands of CIA cables describing the interrogations of the CIA detainees Abu Zubaydah and Abdul al-Harim al-Nashiri, whose interrogations were the subject of videotapes that were destroyed by the CIA in 2005. The 2008 review was complicated by the existence of the Department of Justice investigation opened by Attorney General Michael Mukasey into the destruction of the videotapes and expanded by Attorney General Holder in August 2009. In particular, CIA employees and contractors who were otherwise when interviewed by committee staff were under potential legal jeopardy, and therefore the CIA would not compel its workforce to appear before the committee.